Welcome to the WNBA on ESPN, where tonight in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Maya Moore and the reigning champion Lynx getting ready to take on one of the more talented teams in the East, Elena Delle Donne and the Chicago Sky. As we welcome you courtside here at Target Center, Ryan Ruocco alongside the Hall of Famer Rebecca Lobo. This Minnesota Lynx team got off to a historic start, 13-0, but now they've dropped 3 of their last 4. What do they need more of, Rebecca, that they haven't had in this recent stretch?
They need a little bit more scoring from Seimone Augustus. She's such a potent offensive weapon. This is the first season she's not scoring in double figures. Last game only 4 points, but Cheryl Reeve said she was happy the way she played. Cheryl Reeve's going to run more plays for her, look for Augustus to be more involved offensively.
They also, in their losses, have allowed too much of the three-point line. You see the drastic difference in their wins and losses, more than twice as many threes allowed in those 3 losses. And tonight, they'll have their hands full with Chicago's Elena Delle Donne as we look at the Star Watch brought to you by Foot Locker.
Yeah, last year's MVP. Such a difficult matchup on the defensive end of the floor offensively for Delle Donne. 6'5", has great range, can put the ball on the deck. It's going to be interesting to see how Minnesota tries to slow her down.
And the Chicago Sky, again, the issues this season on defense. And you see the difference in the points they've allowed in their losses compared to their wins.
And this was the story for Chicago a season ago as well. Their difficulties do not come on the offensive end of the floor. It's been a roller coaster for them defensively this year. Look at the difference in their opponents' points a game in wins versus losses. They're going to really need to bring it on that end of the floor tonight.
Taking a look at the starting lineups for the Chicago Sky. Courtney Vandersloot, top 20 all-time player, Cappie Pondexter, then Elena Delle Donne, Tamara Young, and Erica De Souza. For the Minnesota Lynx, 4 of their 5 members of the starting 5 are headed to the Olympics. That would be Lindsay Whalen, Seimone Augustus, Maya Moore, and Sylvia Fowles. And don't count out Rebecca Brunson, the all-time leader in postseason rebounds. Delle Donne jumps it up and wins it over Fowles for Chicago, and we are underway. Ryan Ruocco, Rebecca Lobo, Holly Rowe with you. Chicago 7-9 on the season. Minnesota 14-3, and a turnover to start for the Sky. Moore, nice look underneath. Brunson cashes in.
And that's one of the things that makes Minnesota so good, is their ability to pass the basketball, find open players. Beautiful bullet pass from Moore.
Maya Moore averaging a career high 4.5 assists, 7th in the league. Pondexter. Difficult look, in and out. The rebound put home inside by Erica De Souza.
It's going to be a fun matchup to watch. Cappie Pondexter and Seimone Augustus, throughout the course of their careers, 2 players who are known for having that one-on-one breakdown ability.
Augustus to the rim. Talked about her number getting called early. There was an example of it, Rebecca.
But Cheryl Reeve has to like how Seimone was going to the rim, playing aggressively.
Just like Delle Donne there, maybe some contact, didn't get the call. Here comes Whalen, 3-on-3. Whalen trying to weave her way in, and Vandersloot hung nicely, but a foul.
This is where Minnesota can be so dangerous, is when they can get out in transition and score that way. That was one of the struggles they had as well in their 3-game losing streak, is the inability to get easy points in transition. Not many players through the course of their career as good as Lindsay Whalen, getting and seeking and finding the contact to get to the free throw line.
And that was a source of frustration last year for Cheryl Reeve. Felt like a big part of Lindsay Whalen's struggles towards the end of last season had to do with her not getting calls that she's used to getting.
Well, you look at Whalen's career numbers. Her free throw attempts were down drastically a season ago from what they'd been throughout the course of her career, and her game was the same. So I think Cheryl Reeve does have an argument.
Here's Vandersloot. Nice crossover to shake Whalen. Bodied inside by Fowles and Brunson. 13 to shoot. Pokey Chapman in her 6th season at the helm of Chicago. Helped lead them to the finals 2 seasons ago. He's talked about the defensive breakdowns and offense and defense being a symbiotic relationship as Young misses the jumper.
I think that's the exact phrase she used, symbiotic
I was listening when she was speaking to us. Here's Moore teeing up the 3 and knocking it down.
So what have we seen so far? Both Vandersloot and Lindsay Whalen have been able to get in the paint, but when Vandersloot gets in, Minnesota's defense just collapses, and she has not been able to find passes out.
This time they do. It's Deladon in and out. Whalen guides the rebound over to Moore. Here's Whalen. Good pace to Minnesota thus far. Fouls, good ball fake, and the little flip is good, plus the foul. A 9-2 start for Minnesota.
Minnesota is in the mode of attack, and that's what they've been able to do. We saw it with Lindsay Whalen, and now with Sylvia Fowles getting to the rim.
Fowles, a former member of the Chicago Sky, averaging just under 14 points, over 8 rebounds, and completes the three-point play. An 8-0 Minnesota run. Pondexter being harassed by Augustus, working over 2 screens. Pondexter, though, finally turned the corner and drew the contact.
I'll tell you what, in the 3-game losing streak from Minnesota, they did not have this kind of energy on the defensive end. They weren't extending their pressure, picking up. You see how far Simone Augustus is out, getting around the screen. Great job by Cappy Pondexter. Continue to probe and get in and get the foul, but I'm impressed right now with the energy Minnesota has defensively.
Cappy Pondexter, really the leading voice of this Chicago Sky team. And that was something that Pokey Chapman talked to us about before the game, saying they're still looking for a little bit more vocally from Courtney Vandersloot as well as Elena Deladon, so that Cappy doesn't always have to be the one who is heard for this group. Moore again? You bet.
Touches in the paint, the defense has to react, and it's a great time to get it out to your three-point shooters.
4 assists on 4 field goals for Minnesota. Deladon using the high screen from DeSouza. Not a lot of room. Vandersloot trying to create it, and Young.
All areas of the floor, but she has a particular affinity for that corner. And look at just great wherewithal by Fowles. Gets it under the rim, out to Maya Moore for the 3. Just such a quick release, too.
And I feel like, Rebecca, that's part of the evolution of Sylvia Fowles that we've seen, too, since coming to Minnesota. That's a quick decision, getting the ball into the corner to an open shooter.
She has become a very good passer. Even that wasn't a double team, but now when she gets double teamed, she just has a great awareness of where her teammates are.
Young, it's both free throws. Moore putting it on the deck this time. Will return the favor. Fowles can't cash in. Vandersloot being ridden by Brunson. Yeah, that's going to be a foul. And Vandersloot is in some pain. A crucial player to the Chicago Sky, who's already been banged up a little bit earlier this season. And Cheryl Reeve will call her team over to their bench as Vandersloot will be tended to right in front of the Minnesota bench. We will step aside for a moment.
ESPN's coverage of the WNBA is brought to you by State Farm. We exist to assist. And the new $1.49 steak flatbread sandwich at Taco Bell. It's all the steak, none of the sacrifice.
The defending champion Lynx out to a 13-6 lead, and more bad news for the Sky as Courtney Vandersloot moments ago appeared to roll the right ankle, Rebecca.
Yeah, you get a clear look at it right here when she plants, the right ankle goes over, and anyone who's played basketball has experienced that injury at some point in their career.
And so Vandersloot now being tended to on the Chicago bench as we check in with Holly Ruff.
Well, this is the same ankle that Sluty injured earlier this season, a fairly severe ankle sprain that kept her out of 3 games. They do have an x-ray facility here on the premises. She is being helped back to the locker room right now. We'll get you an update as soon as possible.
And you see the assist numbers this year for Vandersloot, second in the WNBA. She and Jamira Faulkner, her backup, who's now in now, with 11 assist games apiece.
And Pokey Chapman said, I've got basically 2 starting point guards on my team, and Faulkner will be important here.
Fires way too long from the corner. Those 11 assist games are the high for any WNBA player this season, so teammates tied for that mark. Brunson, no. DeSouza the rebound. Chicago has missed its last 5 shots. Delle Donne looks to end it and draws the foul on Brunson.
And that's a tough call for Rebecca Brunson because it's her second foul. This is Minnesota's best big defender, and that's why she is on Elena Delle Donne. But one of the reasons Elena Delle Donne can get these fouls, look at her release point. Look at how high she shoots the ball from. So even if Brunson is straight up, she gets a piece of the arm on Delle Donne. And because it's so high, the officials can always see it.
That is the 4th team foul on Minnesota already, as well as Brunson checks out with her second. So that means Chicago, if they're aggressive, could find themselves with quite a bit of free throws throughout this first quarter. They'll go to the line the rest of the way. Now, you saw that number from Elena Delle Donne in her free throws per game over the last 5, a little bit more than 5 free throws per game, but Pokey Chapman wants Elena Delle Donne getting to the line at least 8 times per contest, Rebecca.
Well, that's been a big difference from last year to this year. Last year she got there 7 times a game. This year she's under 5, as you see a nice jumper from Natasha Howard. But Pokey Chapman would like to see Delle Donne continue to attack because she's such a good free throw shooter.
Has made 27 of her last 28. Here's Pondexter. Cappy. The step back. Whalen hung nicely, contested it enough. Rebound. Ends up with Delle Donne cleaning it up inside. Moore. A 3. Not that time. That hit her first 2 looks from deep. Here's Pondexter charging ahead. Delle Donne goes backdoor, is hooked by Howard, and there's the 15th foul. She'll go to the line. Hey, as part of Hoops for Troops program, the WNBA and Department of Defense celebrated the Independence Day weekend by honoring military members and their families. Please join us and share your commitment to service by visiting WNBA.com/hoopsfortroops or tweet using hashtag #HoopsForTroops. You have a nice 4th of July weekend, Rebecca?
Had a wonderful 4th of July in northern Minnesota. How was your 4th of July?
Yeah, very good. I'm glad you were able to hang in the area.
Yeah.
Let's check in with Holly, who I also hope had a great 4th of July.
For this game, but Elena Delle Donne getting to the free throw line the 2nd straight time, really being more aggressive. That comes as a direct challenge from her head coach, Pokey Chapman. Rebecca, you mentioned her numbers getting to the line are down this season, and Pokey said to Elena 5 games ago, I need you to go to the line 8 times per game. So I'm keeping track. That's 2 so far. Let's see if she takes the coach's challenge.
And I think she would probably count it as 4, because 4 free throw attempts. Although maybe she wants 8 trips and 16 attempts. I think she'd take that if she gets it. 3-point game is Howard amongst the trees, denied by Delle Donne. Moore, and a shot clock violation on some outstanding interior D from Chicago.
Yeah, much better defensive possession that time from Chicago.
And Cheryl Reeve wants to talk about it. Minnesota will take the timeout. Nice response from the Sky after the Lynx had led by as many as 9.
We talked at the beginning of the game about the importance of Chicago's defense. This helps more than just a little bit. Blocked by Elena Delle Donne.
That's been the focal point since our season ended so early last year, is to focus more on defense, the defensive end. You know, we know that we can score with any team because we have so many great weapons offensive-wise, but our struggle was defense, and I think it's just something we have to continue to work on. You know, this league has grown tremendously in terms of offensive talent, that every night is a different struggle, and I think we have to marry our offense to the defense.
Well, I thought that was such an interesting perspective from one of the top 20 players in WNBA history who's been in this league a long time, Rebecca, talking about how the defense almost has to evolve in the WNBA today because of all the offensive talent.
And it's become so much more difficult to limit teams and what they're trying to do because of the skill set that players have. And Jamira Faulkner, that's her second shot that's been way off. This is a woman who has speed and has really learned how to harness her change of pace as well. You'd like to see her penetrating, trying to get some paint touches.
Gia Perkins into the game for Minnesota, guarded by Pondexter. Fouls, got position on DeSouza, couldn't finish. Howard leaps for the offensive rebound. Perkins separates. No. And the rebound ends up with Deladon looking to push. Pondexter. And there's that speed from Faulkner, but the power and force of fouls.
Chicago has had some success by pushing the pace in transition and getting out, and Faulkner, against most players, is going to be able to get that off by getting by him, but not big girl Sylvia Fowles.
And authoritative rejection from Fowles. Pondexter guarded by 2, still pops, no. Rebound, bounce to DeSouza, misses the bunny, and Young will flag it down. Howard jumps the root on the steal. Chaos everywhere, bodies, and finally a foul. Mercy.
You come out, these are two teams who are trying to make a statement. Chicago saying, all right, we're going to get back on track after our last win against Washington, and Minnesota, you know, trying to prove that that 3-game losing streak was a fluke, and they are leaving it all on the floor.
So Amani Boyette, the 10th overall pick of this year's draft, checking into the game for Erica DeSouza. Been playing much better of late and immediately rejects Natasha Howard. Nice move by Pondexter, then a little bit too tall on that pass.
And right now, with the lineup that Chicago has in, with 6'7" Boyette, 6'5" Elena Deladon, if you get the ball in the paint, Ryan, the shot fake is your friend, because both of those players want to block the shot. You got to get them in the air, get them off balance.
Pokey Chapman didn't look too happy with that turnover. It's been a 10-5 response from Chicago, but some missed opportunities as Moore makes them pay. Minnesota had missed its last 6 shots. Moore now 3 of 4 from downtown. Quigley kept her foot on the ground. Crowd didn't think so, but she did. Boyette, she got it. Nice touch from 17.
That's going to be really important as her game develops, is to be able to consistently hit that shot from the free throw line area.
The sister of JaVale McGee. As Fowles gets fouled by Boyette.
Amani Boyette has continued to improve throughout the course of her rookie campaign, and this will be a big thing for her. We know she can finish in the paint close to the rim, but the more she can extend her range as a big player, the better.
Foul was on the floor against Boyette. Moore into the corner. Montgomery off, and Boyette grabs the rebound. Chicago trailed by as many as 9 in this first quarter. Deladon steps into a 3 and knocks it down.
Beautiful off the horn set. Faulkner goes one way and uses the screen, and Deladon can't be the player that you leave open defensively.
9 points in the opening quarter for Elena Deladon. Maya Moore with 9 as well. Those are your high scorers. Montgomery using the foul screen. Faulkner hung nicely. Boyette got a hand in there to poke it away. And now Faulkner is fouled by Montgomery, and she'll go to the line as Minnesota is over the limit.
Chicago likes to run the horn set, which means 2 players high. The point guard gets to choose which way she goes, and Howard has to step off for a little bit, but you have to be aware. Who's the player who set the screen? If it's Deladon, you've got to be able to recover.
Faulkner, a chance to tie and then give Chicago the lead, perhaps. Hits the first. Taking a look at the upcoming WNBA national TV schedule. Full slate of games across the WNBA networks. ESPN Friday. Samsung NBA Summer League, a doubleheader for you. NBA TV Wednesday, July 13th. The record-setting Sparks at Chicago. Afternoon contest. And then July 19th on ESPN2. That's a Tuesday. The Sparks at Indiana, 8 Eastern. For more on these games, please go to WNBA.com or access the WNBA app, where the Sparks have shown no signs of slowing down. Just 1 loss thus far this season. As Augustus, given a lot of space there by Breland, took advantage.
She needs to continue to look for her shot. We talked about that in the open, but there's not many players with a better mid-range than Simone Augustus.
Ended the 11-3 response. Faulkner got hit by fouls. And Chicago doing a good job of taking advantage of the precarious foul situation Minnesota's been in.
And really smart play by Faulkner because they ran that horn set again. So if you're the point guard defensively, you're trying to figure out how you're going to get around the screens, but she doesn't use it. Instead, she goes right down the middle and gets the foul call.
First on fouls. Now, Courtney Vandersloot, with an ankle injury earlier in the quarter, been a very effective, we mentioned, second in the WNBA in assists. But Chicago is one of the teams that can lose their starting point guard for a period of time and at least survive more than others because of the success Jamira Faulkner has had.
I mean, the way she has improved and the growth she has made over the course of the last 2 years has been tremendous.
Augustus, shake and bake, nearly didn't take the ball with her. Here's fouls, working the rookie Boyette. Fouls got hit, that's going to be number 2 on Boyette, and 2 free throws coming for Sylvia Fowles.
The attack mentality by Sylvia Fowles, though. I mean, we've talked about it earlier in the season, how she kind of changed and became a different player in the finals last year where she was named the MVP, and that's continued through the course of this year.
Fowles, 7th in the WNBA in rebounding. Hits the first free throw. Cheryl Reeve with a smile in her incredible successful career in Minnesota. She believes that this may be her deepest team. A 3-time champion head coach really feels like they have at least 4 positions solidified coming off the bench as Della Don buries the 3 off a nifty breakdown from Faulkner.
That was all because of Faulkner. She got by Lindsay Whalen using her speed. Howard had to help. What a play.
And that's going the other way. Natasha Howard with the illegal screen, and Quigley sold it nicely.
Jamira Faulkner used to go one speed. It was fast all the time, but she has now learned how to just take a look at that. Gets right by Lindsay Whalen because of the change of speed, right on the money, and Elena Della Don's shooting pocket, beautiful.
Della Don with 12, Faulkner another kick, Breland another hit. And Jamira Faulkner controlling this game late in the first quarter. 4 assists in her 6 minutes. Augustus with a gorgeous jumper.
She still got it. Forget averaging 4 points a game in the last 4. She still got it.
A well-played first quarter here in Minnesota. 26-24 lead for Chicago. 8-second difference, game and shot clock. Faulkner sees the open Quigley. Truth on a 3.
Jamira Faulkner has been masterful since she got in this game. What an unbelievable point guard display.
5 assists in 7 minutes. And Chicago has hit its last 5 shots. Whalen. No. And a foul underneath going the other way. And that is going to send Chicago to the line with Minnesota over the limit. And that is the second foul on fouls.
I thought there was nothing more than incidental contact on that play.
Hey, Wednesday on ESPN, we'll have the first semifinal at Euro 2016. It's Cristiano Ronaldo and Portugal taking on Wales. Then on Thursday, we'll have semifinal number 2 between Germany and France. Our coverage begins at 2:30 Eastern on both days. Can also be seen streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app.
Thinking back to that last Faulkner play, one of the things that made it so pretty is that everyone in this building, including me, thought the ball was going back to Della Don. That was going to be the easy pass, one pass away, and that she'd have to create. Instead, she found the wide-open Quigley.
Well, and you could see the defense rotate off Quigley, anticipating that, and left her
Absolutely.
wide open in the corner. That'll do it for the first quarter. What a response from Chicago. A 15-point swing. Once down 9, some defense like that helps them with a 6-point lead. And plenty of tough play in the paint as well. Second quarter action up next.
Welcome back to Minnesota. Here with Chicago coach Pokey Chapman. And coach, your team got off to a poor start, an 8-0 run for Minnesota to start the game. What changed for them to answer and take the lead?
I think it was our ability to get back in transition defense. Then we got some rebounds. We were able to get out and run, attack them a little bit, get to the free throw line, play with the lane in the middle of the floor, and got some really good looks.
Courtney Vandersloot back out here with an ankle twist. It looks like she's got a TENS machine on that ankle. But Jamira Faulkner, how has her subtlety and how she's learned to play that point really affected you here in this quarter?
You know, she learns how to play with a fast pace, a slow pace. She's getting us in the right sets offensively, but she's also doing a good job defensively, hawking the basketball a little bit.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
Well, I think that Jamira Faulkner was even shorted in assists. As Maya Moore misfires. Official stats has her listed as 4 for her under 7 minutes of work in the first quarter, but we know she should have been tallied for a 5th with that pass into the corner for Quigley. She was just terrific, Rebecca.
Yeah, tremendous impact from the moment she came in the game.
Augustus hooks it up and off. Deladon the rebound. Her 4th of the game to go with 12 points. Quigley thought about popping. Working around the screen from Boyette, tried to squeeze it in there, didn't have the angle. Whalen finds an open Moore. Flips it out, good touch pass into the arms of McCarville. And Chicago able to cover and reset. 5 to shoot, Whalen. Yeah, she got it.
The challenge for Whalen is going to be defensively against Jamira Faulkner, who has not only Whalen, but most point guards in the WNBA with a quickness advantage.
Here's Faulkner, what a breakdown, no touch after the little shimmy. Quigley denied, McCarville controls, here comes Minnesota. Augustus the pull-up, you bet.
One thing about a veteran like Simone Augustus, they have a few games where they might struggle with their shot and not getting a lot of touches. They know the next game is going to be a totally different story. She has come out looking for her offense tonight.
And 3 of 5 from the floor. Deladon given space, connects. Natasha Howard did not get out there with enough urgency considering who she's guarding.
That's a situation. It doesn't matter if you think you should be in help. One more step, you've got to stick with your player.
15 points for Deladon, 3 of 4 from deep. Augustus trying to shake free again. Moore with 3 to shoot, running through, flips it in. "11 points for the 2014 WNBA MVP. Faulkner, no. And Moore batted it into space. Whalen headed off by Faulkner. Through the paint, and she is nearly tackled by Boyette.
Maya Moore got things going offensively for Minnesota in the first quarter of this game, and we know she's got every facet, but where she really excels is from the three-point line. Such a quick catch and shoot. Does not take much time to get her feet set. No, that wasn't the same play. She's just that good from the left corner. And take a look, off balance. Wow, there's not many players in this league. She's probably the best in terms of quickly catching and getting it up there.
Maya Moore, 6th in the league in assists, 7th in scoring. As Whalen hits the free throw. By the way, that was the 3rd foul on Boyette. So she's going to check out here along with Breland. Cappy Pondexter into the game for Jamira Faulkner, along with Allie Quigley, Tamara Young, Elena Deladon. And Cheyenne Parker round out the Chicago lineup.
Wouldn't be surprised to see Sylvia Fowles come back in and try to take advantage of the young Parker on the block.
Knocked down by Allie Quigley. And it looks like Quigley is going to operate the point right now for Chicago, with Faulkner getting a breather and Vandersloot tending to a sore ankle. Whalen got it to go, and the foul.
Lindsay Whalen, another player who's had some quiet nights this season, especially in the game against Washington. Look at the fearless nature to get in there against a much bigger player. She's doing this a lot more too, Ryan, this year. And that's showing some emotion when she gets her and one.
Whalen completes the three-point play. By the way, we've gotten word that Chicago will make a decision at the half as to whether or not Courtney Vandersloot can return in this game. Tied at 35. Cappy Pondexter poked it up and out, got it back, scooped around. Parker denied by Moore. Quick hands from Maya Moore. 3-on-2 to Whalen. Augustus, a three. No. And Deladon does a nice job to get her paws on the rebound, but Quigley couldn't save it. Minnesota basketball. Feels like a lot of activity in this game, Rebecca.
Oh, it's been great. There's been so much up and down. It's been a nice fast-paced game, which both teams want to play when they have the ball in their hands. Just great energy.
Underneath, Moore got spun to the deck.
She can breakdance. It kind of looks like that when she does.
Maya can actually breakdance?
Yeah, she's a pretty good breakdancer.
Really?
Mm-hmm. You saw it a couple years ago, I think, in the All-Star game when she came out for introduction. She did the worm across the stage. Remember that?
Oh, that's right. We won't have an All-Star game this year to see that. We might have to just ask Maya to put on a display here at Target Center at some point. Off one leg. Dirk-esque from Maya Moore.
Sometimes she takes a shot and it looks like she's playing a game of horse.
And somebody else just got an H.
Yeah.
Quigley, the kick. Young, cups, reverses. McCarville. Nice box out. A 13-5 Minnesota run. Great screen from Brunson. It freed Montgomery, couldn't hit. Pondexter. Met by Augustus. Minnesota had scored on 6 straight possessions before that miss. Parker shoveled it over, and Young was able to gather and finish.
Parker very deliberate, but a nice dive by Young, and Parker eventually got it there.
Parker jumps the route, 3-on-0, and Quigley misses the layup. Deladon able to reach up, collect, finish, and the foul. What an effort from Elena Deladon in transition. She now has 17 first-half points.
It is not easy getting an offensive rebound out of your area, and that's what Elena Deladon does. She gets in there and collects the ball, finishes with the foul. What a play.
We'll get a chance to chat with Morgan Tuck, a top 3 pick from this year's draft. She'll chat with us next. Minnesota, they've seen 3 titles in the last 5 years. They've seen a good start to this game. Chicago, a 2-point second quarter lead. We get a chance now to chat with Morgan Tuck, who is back in our studios in Bristol. Will be part of our halftime coverage and was the number 3 pick of this year's draft. A rookie with the Connecticut Sun. All right, Morgan, we're going to make you put on your analyst hat here. What have your observations been from this first half so far?
I think the first thing that stands out is Minnesota's defense at the beginning. You know, they had a pretty big lead on Chicago, but I think Chicago made a really big comeback, and they're back in the game.
Now, Morgan, you've had a chance to defend Elena Deladon at times this season. What are the challenges of playing against someone her size with her skill set?
You know, you're not used to playing against someone that's 6'5" and has a lot of perimeter skills. So I think the hardest thing is, you know, it's hard to block her shot. Her release is super high. And she's super skilled and very smart, so she makes you think a lot when you're playing her.
All right, Morgan, you're in your first year in the W. What's been the biggest adjustment so far for you playing professional basketball?
I think the biggest adjustment is, you know, every night you're playing against really talented players, and each team is really good. So I think, you know, it's not the same as in college where, you know, you might be a better team automatically, but I think now, you know, each night you're playing against the best players in the world.
Well, Morgan, we look forward to hearing your analysis at the half, and thanks for hopping on.
Thank you.
All right, Morgan Tuck will join Doug Kazarian at the half. one of 3 Connecticut players to go with the first 3 picks of this year's draft. As fouls got hit underneath by Parker and will go to the line. Of course, the others, Mariah Jefferson to San Antonio and Brianna Stewart to Seattle.
Connecticut coming off a big win against Dallas this weekend, and Connecticut had a big trade last week, sending Kelsey Bone to Phoenix for a couple players.
Now, we saw in the first quarter, Rebecca, where Chicago was able to get into the penalty at about the 6-minute mark and then take advantage. They shot 14 free throws in that first quarter. Now Minnesota has Chicago over the limit. Can they take advantage here in the second quarter?
Yeah, look, I mean, and that's not Chicago's game. They're last in the league in free throw attempts a game at just under 18. To have that many in the first quarter is not typical for them.
Pondexter probing, shoveling. McCarville got her hands in there nicely. Cat-like quickness from Janelle McCarville. Oh, what a dish! McCarville to Augustus. You gotta make that after a dish like that.
Janelle McCarville, I'm glad you're back. There's not a better passing post player in the W.
Quigley. And a foul underneath that'll stay right here.
I mean, Ron, come on. Forget big players. How many players, period, can make this pass? In the air, behind the back, and it was on the money, and the only pass she could have made. Oh, beautiful.
All in one motion. She brings a certain flair to her game, and Simone Augustus, the beneficiary there. Second foul on Maya Moore on that loose ball. Here's Faulkner. 5 assists for Faulkner. Denied by McCarville. She's doing it all. Now leading the break. The no-look to fouls. Oh! It's her show! Janelle McCarville has dazzled these fans in Minnesota for a long time. Boy, is it nice to have her back. All right, Doug, good contest here at Target Center as Elena Delle Donne spins and hits. What a beautiful pirouette. She has 20 in this first half.
Pretty good decision coming out of the timeout. Need a score. Let's get it to Elena.
Nicely run play. And a foul away from the ball. Remember, Chicago over the limit, so Minnesota will go to the line here. How about the effort from the Chicago bench in this game? Rebecca, a 16-2 scoring edge off the bench for Chicago.
Well, so much of that was fueled by Jamira Faulkner in that first quarter, just pushing the pace, finding her teammates, scoring herself.
And we've seen Elena Delle Donne get good looks since Faulkner's come into the game as well. Delle Donne missed her first 2 shots, has hit her last 6.
Allie Quigley, another one, 6th player of the year a season ago, has come in and been very productive offensively.
Two-point Minnesota lead. Quigley gives it up. Delle Donne switched on fouls. High screen comes from DeSouza. Delle Donne kicks. Young off.
Really nice job because they got Elena Delle Donne involved in a lot of screens. Nice job by Minnesota defensively.
Augustus again. She is feeling healthy. 14 points on 6 of 9 shooting in this first half. Faulkner working on Montgomery, who can be a menacing defender, and Faulkner wins that battle with flying colors.
Hey, Montgomery got screened and re-screened and trying to find her way through, but the speed and explosiveness by Faulkner got it to the rim.
6 points, 5 assists for Faulkner, with Courtney Vandersloot out with an ankle injury. McCarville? No. Fouls has it knocked away by Young. Swipe to the ground. Deladon will scoop it. That went off Young. Minnesota ball. Excellent effort from Maya Moore.
Again, the type of hustle plays that we're missing at times during that 3-game losing streak for Minnesota. Fouls, no. Second look, I don't think she did get fouled there, but great hustle by Maya Moore. Deflections right there, making it go off. Young, just a different energy. It's all about the energy.
And very clearly went off Young. Eric Bruton with a conversation with Cheryl Reeve. You see Shelly Patterson and Jim Peterson, assistant head coach to Cheryl. As Gia Perkins will check in. And Simone Augustus is going to get a nice hand.
Keep an eye on Maya Moore on the side out of bounds play. They like to try to find ways to get her into the post.
Pondexter guarding Perkins. McCarville dumps it down. And a 3-second violation called on Sylvia Fowles.
You can live with those. Fowles had post-up position and held it 1 second too late, but knew the pass was going to be coming.
As a big, were you always counting in your head?
You don't count in your head, but you definitely have a feel for how long you've been in there.
Deladon switched on Fowles, wants to take her away from the hoop. Will pull up and hit. Elena Deladon showing some emotion after yet another 3. 23 points. She has the last 7 for Chicago.
Read the matchup perfectly. Knew with Fowles on her to keep it on the perimeter.
Moore. An answer.
She does that better than anyone. The big step to get the defender on her and to still keep her balance with the step back to get the jumper off.
Maya Moore with 15 points on 6 of 9 shooting. Deladon again matched up on Fowles. Trying to take her. Has hit her last 7 shots. Deladon has hit her last 8 shots.
And this is the kind of emotion that Pokey Chapman must love to see from Elena Deladon.
25 first half points for last year's MVP. Moore will give it up and get it back. McCarville again, a gorgeous dish. And Maya Moore will go to the line as Faulkner hugged her to the ground.
Elena Deladon understanding that she can get shots off over Sylvia Fowles if she stays outside of the paint. First from 3, she's got deep range so she can get it there. Stribble, just a quick step back, because if she continues to go to the rim, Fowles has the advantage defensively.
At some point, if you're Minnesota, do you need to send another defender and get the ball out of her hands?
Either that or you switch up, but right now they don't have the personnel on the floor. Rebecca Brunson, remember, is in foul trouble, so that's a good matchup for Elena Deladon. Howard got in some foul trouble, so those are the 2 best matchups for Elena.
2 fouls on Howard, 3 on Brunson. Meanwhile, Moore has 17 points in 18 minutes herself.
Fowles misses early when Brunson was on her.
Now Moore guarding Deladon. Now Maya Moore has 2 fouls, needs to be careful on this final possession. Shot clock turned off. Faulkner going early, misses the layup. She went a little too early. Chance for Minnesota. Perkins trying to collect, and he nearly hit it, but left it a little short. An entertaining first half of basketball at Target Center. Minnesota, the reigning champs, with a 1-point lead. And the Stars playing like stars. Maya Moore with 17. Simone Augustus with 14. And Elena Deladon with 25. Holly Rose with Simone Augustus.
Well, Simone, the last few games you've had some quiet outputs. What's allowed you to kind of come alive tonight?
Just the flow of the game. Just trying to be aggressive when I can. And the ball is moving in my direction, so I'm just knocking down the shots tonight.
What's it like when you get a pass like that from Janelle McCarville? That was the prettiest pass I think I've seen all year.
It put the pressure on me. I had to knock it down. If I'd have missed it, I would have messed up a beautiful play. So that got to be an ESPN top 10.
It's got to be. Thanks, Simone.
Thank you, Holly.
We'll do our best to politic it in there. I think Simone's right. A 10-point second quarter for Simone Augustus, our score at the half. Minnesota 52, Chicago 51. Stay tuned for the WNBA halftime report presented by State Farm. It is coming your way after these messages. What a half from the reigning MVP, as well as the defending champ. We got a good one in Minnesota.
Trumpets blow.
Welcome back to the WNBA on ESPN. Ryan Rucco alongside Rebecca Lobo. What an outstanding first half, Rebecca.
Yeah, it was playoff intensity in that first half and some pretty good performances by the All-Stars.
That's right. You saw some of those highlights. We'll take a look at our Exist to Assist brought to you by State Farm. And what a half from Elena Delle Donne.
Elena Delle Donne missed her first 2 shots and then did not miss again. Her full array on display here, the spin. I mean, she got it done in the mid-range. Great job from 3. She was 4 of 5 from 3. You saw her range, just about NBA range on this one. I mean, just an outstanding performance. Showed a lot of motion in that first half as well.
And there it is, displayed by Elena Delle Donne as we take a look at tonight's game track, brought to you by BBVA Compass. Usually it's pronounced BBVA Compass. Elena Delle Donne with those 25 points, 4 of 5 from 3. The bench, 18 points. Maya Moore, a big first half. And Simone Augustus, after averaging just 4 points a game over her last 4, with 14 in the first half, as we check in with Holly Rowe.
Well, Pokey Chapman said that they have hurt themselves defensively just with some very minor adjustments. Simple things like going under a screen that leaves Simone Augustus open for a 3. She said, we've got too many turnovers that are self-forced. They've got 7 turnovers in that first half. They've got to get better there. And then rebound the basketball, but very pleased with her team's effort. She just wants to clean up a few of those simple defensive problems that are leaving open baskets for Minnesota.
Probably won't love turning it over on the first possession of the second half either.
Yeah, with her reaction, that's probably... She hides behind the assistant so you can't see her cursing on TV.
9 ties, 12 lead changes in that first half. Chicago's bench an 18-2 edge. Faulkner, ooh, nasty collision there with Whalen. Jamira Faulkner starting the third quarter at the point. Courtney Vandersloot went down with an ankle injury in the first half. 9 to shoot. Faulkner, long 2. Off.
Jamira Faulkner 3 times was screened by Elena Delle Donne. It's going to be tougher for Delle Donne to get those shots with Brunson back in the game defending her.
That's tossed out of bounds as we check in with Holly for a little more on Courtney Vandersloot.
Well, the starting point guard, Courtney Vandersloot, unlikely to return to this game. She did not come out of the locker room with her team. They've had an electronic TENS machine on that right ankle. That is a previous injury she injured earlier in the season, which caused her to miss 3 games. So that stability of that ankle is definitely still a question.
All right, thank you, Holly. Pondexter, 8 to shoot. Faulkner, nice breakdown of Whalen, went right in for an easy 2.
And all Rebecca Brunson could do is do a half-hearted reach because she's not going to pick up a 4th foul on that play.
Faulkner now 2 of 10, does have 5 assists though, and that's going the other way. Erica DeSouza took the contact. And Sylvia Fowles is hit with her 3rd personal.
I'd have to see it again, but I thought Fowles did get her with an elbow. Yeah,
Ooh.
That's a foul.
I don't know if it was an elbow, but it's clearly a foul. She
gets
goes
her in
hand
the
to the
face.
face. Yeah. Maybe a forearm more so?
Yeah. I don't know that they care which part of it, but it's just definitely a foul.
Yeah. Now they will take a look at this right now.
It's not a flagrant 1 or a 2. This is a common foul, and I think that's what it'll end up being.
We'll take a look and make sure that there's not anything beyond a common foul, flagrant 1 or 2. But from our first look at it, does not appear to be anything more. Hey, let's take a look at the upcoming WNBA national TV schedule. Full slate of games across the WNBA networks. ESPN Friday, Samsung NBA Summer League, Minnesota and Denver, and then the Lakers at New Orleans. NBA TV Wednesday, July 13th, the Sparks, record-setting Sparks at Chicago. And then ESPN 2 on Tuesday, July 19th, the Sparks back in action at Indiana. For more on these games, please go to WNBA.com or access the WNBA app. Now, they review whether or not it's a harmful act. That's the language and the verbiage they use.
A hostile act.
Hostile act, excuse me. I knew there was some slight tweak to a hostile act.
This is not a hostile act.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any intention by Fowles to elbow her, to elbow DeSouza in the face. I firmly believe it was a common foul.
Your officiating crew, Eric Bruton, Daryl Humphrey, and Cheryl Flores, as each team waits patiently. Let's take one more look, Rebecca.
After review, the ruling on the court stands.
Yeah. The ruling on the court will stand. It's a common foul on Sylvia Fowles.
I was pretty keyed in on it when it happened live, and that was my instinct when it happened live as well.
But it is foul number 3 on Fowles, and Rebecca Brunson also has 3, so something to watch for in the Minnesota front court here early in the third quarter. Minnesota had just 2 turnovers the entire second quarter. They have 3 in the first minute and 41 seconds of the third. Deladon with 25 in the first half. Leans in, got it to go, and nearly drew contact on Brunson.
Great shot by Deladon, but a much more difficult shot than when we saw Sylvia Fowles defending her.
Elena Deladon has hit her last 9 shots. Fowles working on DeSouza, cutting through. Augustus, the jump stop, no finish. Deladon with her 7th rebound. Faulkner finds Deladon, an open 3 is good! She's hit her last 10! Elena Deladon lighting up target center, she is 30.
Elena Deladon on fire, finds herself open. Not today, that's going in.
As a professional basketball player, I want to be the best role model possible for the young girls, young boys looking up to us.
For me, it's all about the importance of giving back. So I try to just pay it forward.
It's so important to make an impact on the younger generation because we were once that young generation. We were the kids that had a dream, and now that I'm living out my dream, it's my chance, my opportunity to make sure that others can too.
Well, the reigning MVP, Elena Deladon, has been dynamic tonight, has hit her last 10 shots after missing her first 2. 30 points, 1 point shy of her season high. 31 back on June 24th against New York. And she has simply been terrific as we check in with Holly.
Well, Cheryl Reeve called that timeout after Elena Deladon had hit 10 straight, but oddly enough, Elena's name didn't come up in the huddle. Cheryl chose instead to focus on her own team. She said, this next run is going to be ours. The way we get it done is with deflections, rebounding. She wants more effort in all the little categories to get the Minnesota Lynx back on an offensive run.
Well, Elena Deladon got her last shot because there was a lack of communication by Minnesota. Brunson had to go and stop the ball, and no one was there to have her back.
A 9-0 run after that Pondexter jumper. That lasted Augustus. And Minnesota turns it over, their 4th turnover of the quarter. And now Gia Perkins will check in for Simone Augustus as Cheryl Reeve tries to shake things up.
Well, it's going to have to start on the defensive end right now for Minnesota. That's where they've got to get their groove going again.
Pondexter cut through. Rebound knocked out of bounds by Minnesota, and there were 2 or 3 Lynx players signaling travel rather than going after the rebound, and I think it cost them.
It's rare you see that many players begging the refs for a travel at the same time.
And because of it, their hands were not in position to rebound. Here's Deladon, has hit her last 10. Working on Brunson. Poked away. 7 to shoot. DeSouza will. Not a good looking shot there, and it's out of bounds off of Chicago.
So that's a start for Minnesota. Just to get a stop, show some toughness. Now you got to go the other way and execute.
In Chicago's last win, Elena Deladon said she realized and finally fully appreciated what her energy means to her team and playing with that energy. She is doing that tonight, as well as hitting everything as Minnesota turns it over for a 5th time this quarter. Pondexter all the way in, couldn't finish. Montgomery and Perkins in for Augustus and Whalen. With the starting front court of Minnesota, Brunson, Moore, and fouls. And Brunson got it to go and the foul. They will count that bucket, and the foul will go against Elena Deladon, her first.
When you get a player who's hot at one end of the floor, you make them work at the other, and Brunson does that nicely here. That could have been an offensive foul too, Brian. She kind of went out with the left arm, but just a smart play by the veteran.
It was when Brunson checked out in the first quarter as she misses the free throw that Chicago got back in this game. Minnesota had a 9-point lead. Brunson picked up her second foul. Chicago outscored Minnesota 24-11 after that. Faulkner, you bet.
What do you do? I mean, you've got to give her enough room because you know she can explode by you.
And another turnover for Minnesota. Cheryl Reeve had her arms up in the air like, what are we doing, guys?
That was a huge issue for them in their 3-game losing streak, was turning the basketball over. A team that characteristically takes very good care of the basketball.
Let's check in with Holly on those turnovers.
Well, in fact, in the 3-game losing streak, 52 turnovers and 69 points off of turnovers. Cheryl Reeve has started tracking everything in practice, even in their drills. They have focused on the turnovers, but it's still creeping up a little bit tonight, having a problem in the last couple of possessions.
Yeah, no question about that. 6 in the quarter, and a lot of them careless as Faulkner earns her way to the line.
And as a player, you have to understand, too, the momentum of things. And there's certain passes you can attempt to make when you've got momentum on your side or when you have that lead that you simply have to play more conservatively when you're coming from behind.
And you see the difference in wins and losses. There is a drastic difference, especially in the points off of those turnovers.
Minnesota is generally a very good half-court defensive team. We saw that especially early in this game. So you don't want to have those turnovers and don't give your defense a chance to set up.
Chicago, its biggest lead, it's 10. First double-digit lead of the game. Moore cuts into it. 20 points for Maya Moore. She's 4 of 5 from 3. By the way, tonight, Chicago with 16 points off Minnesota's 11 turnovers as Pondexter will take a timeout. Pokey Chapman wanted a foul, did not get it. It is very animated now, walking back, trying to calm down as Chicago will take a timeout. We'll step aside for a moment. Good action, third quarter at Target Center. Hey, be sure to tune in to ESPN2 on Tuesday, July 19th at 8 p.m. Eastern when the Sparks, led by Candace Parker, visit the Indiana Fever and Tamika Catchings. That's coming your way on July 19th, Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Here in Minnesota, Jamira Faulkner trading buckets with Maya Moore, and it's a 64-57 Chicago lead with 4:44 to go in the third quarter. By the way, that game not only features the Red Hot Sparks on Tuesday the 19th, but also an Indiana Fever team with Tamika Catchings in her final season. Faulkner switched up on Brunson. Faulkner off the mark, and I think that's what you want to live with, Rebecca, with Faulkner.
Yeah, without question, especially, I mean, what a defensive display by Brunson.
Moore trying to shimmy free. Young hung nicely. 5 to shoot. Perkins will. Looked like she got hit, no call. And here comes Pondexter. Pondexter will pull. Moore in transition.
She got fouled.
Yeah, and she knew it. It's just all smiles about it. Deladon charging ahead, flips it up. No whistle either. That ends a string of 10 straight makes from Elena Deladon. Chaotic back and forth pace. Perkins is fouled. Could have had a whistle on each end prior. Instead, Perkins finally gets it and will shoot 2.
And every player on the floor glad that foul happened because they were getting tired. That many trips up and down without a stop.
I was getting tired.
We were talking about earlier in this game about the improved bench for the Minnesota Lynx and how they're much deeper than they have been in the past. Tonight, Chicago, 24-2 in bench points over Minnesota. What a job their second unit has done.
And now Simone Augustus will come spell Maya Moore. Augustus had 14 first half points.
M-A-Y-A. Spell Maya Moore. It was bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, what were you trying to do there?
Spelling Maya Moore.
Oh, okay. But why?
Because you said she's coming in to spell Maya Moore.
Oh, wow. You know what?
We're usually a little bit closer.
Yeah, I'm going to put that one on me. How about that?
Okay.
I like what you tried to do there. And I see Holly Rowe across the way saying that one's on me also. Faulkner. I love it when you're silly. Fouls. The hook is good. Sylvia Fowles with 10 points now.
For a lot of years of Sylvia Fowles' career, people were waiting for her to just start taking over on the offensive end, and she sure has done that in stretches here tonight and throughout her time here in Minnesota.
6-0 Minnesota run. Faulkner driving through, flipped it up too strong, fouls the rebound. Minnesota trying to continue this momentum. Augustus. Vogel, 10 to shoot. 7, 5, 3. Augustus with 1. And not a good looking possession there for Minnesota.
You don't necessarily want to be the player who has to throw up the hot potato at the end of a shot clock.
Pondexter, the quick pull, doesn't get the roll.
That was a nice rebound.
Brunson. Here's Fowles trying to work De Souza. The player she was traded for. No touch on that hook. Faulkner, she can be a blur. Zipping ahead and finishing with the left hand. And ends a string of 6 straight misses for Chicago.
And she changes the complexion of the game with her speed. That's exactly the shot you want when you've been struggling to hit from the field as a team. Get right to the rim.
14 points, 7 assists for Faulkner. Augustus sneaks it in. Fouls is fouled. Elena Deladon gets hit with her second personal.
Jamira Faulkner, what is it like to try to defend a player with this kind of speed? Coming right at us right now, weaving in and out of the players. Nice finish with the left. But what do you do with that?
Well, if she's going to finish when she's at full speed, that is very difficult to stop.
Yeah, not much you can do unless you're Sylvia Fowles like we saw in the first half who can come over and block it.
Now, Sylvia Fowles, in her first full season with Minnesota, she was a longtime member of the Chicago Sky as we check in with Holly.
Well, I asked her if it's weird to play against her old team, and she said, you know, last year it was going to be, but I'm fully immersed in this Lynx team. We did ask her former coach, Pokey Chapman, what it's like to face Sylvia Fowles, who she's known since Sylvia was 13 years old. And Pokey said, you know what, in the women's game, we try to make it personal when trades happen, but Sylvia Fowles exercised her full right as a professional. She did what she thought was best for her, and we support her in that. But, you know, Erica De Souza has been a capable backup, or bringing, you know, in that trade. But De Souza's minutes have been down, so her productivity isn't really showing up on the stat page like it should. But De Souza and Fowles have been a blast to watch tonight in this matchup.
Yeah, De Souza had some outstanding moments in recent postseasons in Atlanta. She has not gotten the same kind of floor time or had the same kind of success with Chicago in her year and a half.
And she's a different kind of player. De Souza's more of the complementary player, whereas we've seen Sylvia Fowles can be the go-to.
Finals MVP. And it was interesting hearing Pokey Chapman saying, there are no ill feelings. I've known this girl since she was 13 years old. Of course, coached her at LSU. Whalen lost it. Young on the break. 2-for-1 opportunity. Quigley can't cash in. Poked out of bounds off Breland. And now Minnesota with a 2-for-1 if they hurry. Chicago led by as many as 10 in the quarter. Lynx have cut it to 5. The 2-for-1 has gone by the wayside. 12-second difference, game and shot clock. Brunson trying to create, that's not her game. 5 to shoot. Montgomery, pass goes off. Brunson skidding, finds fouls. They'll take a look at whether or not she got that off in time. I don't think she did.
I don't think she did either.
For now, it'll count, but they will review it. 7 seconds left in the quarter. Faulkner, the crossover, the drive, the flip is good. What a move from Jamira Faulkner. Whalen nearly banks in some fireworks at the end of this third quarter as Chicago takes a 5-point lead. It started with Deladon, it ended with Faulkner. The Sky lead by 5 as we head to the fourth.
Here with Lynx coach Cheryl Reeve. And coach, you guys have been back and forth with them, but Chicago with the lead right now. What do you have to do better defending Elena Deladon?
Well, guard the high ball screen, which we've yet to do. So if we can get that cleaned up, we think we got a decent shot.
How does this pace helping or hurting you right now? It's pretty quick up and down.
I think the pace is okay. I think both teams like that.
Thanks, coach.
Well, Cheryl Reeve in Minnesota have been trying to find a way to stop Elena Deladon. Late in the third quarter was Jamira Faulkner who went off. She actually outscored Minnesota 10-9 herself. That's because that final Sylvia Fowles bucket was taken off the scoreboard, so Chicago's lead is now 7. Fowles bucket with 2 seconds, or I guess it was about 5 seconds to go in the half, was clearly after the shot clock had expired.
See now Maya Moore defensively on Elena Deladon, just pushing her out of her comfort zone.
Nice D there for Minnesota. Perkins with McCarville, the give and go. Finish and the foul.
Great job on the fast break by Minnesota. First to get the steal, then to get out in transition, going full speed. McCarville, you know she's a willing passer, gets it over. Defense not quite set and finish inside.
The restricted area as well. As Perkins completes the three-point play. And immediately some energy to begin the fourth quarter for Minnesota. Now Elena Deladon had 25 points at the half, 5 early in the third, but then didn't score for the last half of that third quarter. Quigley got free. Off. Moore swallowed up by Boyette and fouled.
And we heard Cheryl Reeve talk about defending the pick and roll with Elena Deladon. What did you notice when Maya Moore was on her? She stuck to her. There was no help on the ball handler coming off of that screen. They know Deladon is the one they need to be aware of right now.
Fourth foul on Imani Boyette. Tamara Young into the game for Jessica Breland. Here's McCarville. Couple of flashy passes already in the highlights tonight from McCarville. And defensive 3 seconds. Imani Boyette got caught. Moore will go to the line. 20 points on 7 of 11 shooting. As part of the Hoops for Troops program, the WNBA and Department of Defense celebrated the Independence Day weekend by honoring military members and their families. An interesting story, plenty of more interesting stories on ESPNW.com, including a tribute to Pat Summit and the Around the Rim podcast from LaChina Robinson as Maya Moore connects, and it's a 1-point game. Deladon harassed by Moore. Young gets the roll. Big momentum-stopping bucket there from Tamara Young.
Yeah, nice job by Young, and Chicago's going to have to understand it's going to be other players besides Deladon who have to get it done.
Moore denied. Out of bounds, it'll stay with Minnesota.
The way right now that Minnesota is focusing defensively on Elena Deladon, who else is going to be open? How can they exploit that by getting into seams, because Maya Moore will not be helping off Elena.
Cheyenne Parker into the game for Chicago. Amani Boyette, the rookie, to the bench. Perkins, a 2. Long rebound, Faulkner and Whalen. Whalen wins it. And that's a trap. Nine turnovers in the second half for Minnesota. They had just 5 in the first. And we heard Holly talk about what an emphasis that's been for Cheryl Reeve of late. Faulkner turns it over herself. 4-on-2. McCarville the bounce and fouls. Is foul. Elena Deladon's third personal.
It's nice when your forward player gets her hands on the basketball and you're confident that she can run the break and make the right decision, and that's what McCarville does here. Once again, the look away. But she is a low turnover player. Janelle McCarville will make the right decision in most circumstances.
She is just so fun to watch.
0.8 turnovers a game. As much as she handles the basketball and the passes that she makes,
McCarville did not play last year with Minnesota. Took the year off.
come here, courtside. We'd see her here.
Yeah, we'd see her at the games. Yep. Played for Minnesota in 2013 and 14. Won a title. And Janelle McCarville also went to the University of Minnesota. She is very well liked by these fans. Chicago's lead is 1. Deladon, hasn't scored in a while, is hit, and the foul is going to be on the shot of the floor against Maya Moore. Let's see.
Looked like they called it early on the floor.
Yeah, I think you're right. And it is on the floor. That's the third foul on Moore. Quigley. Spinning free, forced it in. Parker saves. Put to Perkins. Perkins into the lane, banks it up and off, fouls, cleans up the trash. Minnesota's first lead since halftime. For all the latest news of WNBA and women's sports, log on to ESPNW. Be sure to check out ESPNW's complete coverage on the legacy of Pat Summitt. Log on to ESPNW.com/Pat Summitt. And for all the latest that's happening around the WNBA, check out the Around the Rim podcast with our good friend, LaChina Robinson. Well, Pokey Chapman has watched Maya Moore and Minnesota take a 1-point lead, their first since halftime. Elena Deladon, Rebecca, with just one shot over the last 10 minutes, and she missed it.
You know, you hear people say basketball is a game of matchups. Perfect example. Because of foul trouble in the first half, you had Sylvia Fowles guarding Elena Deladon as she takes it in now on Maya Moore, gets the foul called on Fowles.
Oh, and Cheryl Reeves scampered about 50 feet, and she is walking up and down. Are you kidding me? Cheryl Reeves going nuts.
She was talking to her team about that this morning at shoot-around. She said, you know, as a star player, you've got to understand she is going to get some calls. We'll get a look here. Clean all the way around.
Yeah.
Clean all the way around. And, you know, but get back to the point. Maya Moore and Rebecca Brunson getting the main defensive assignment on Elena Deladon in the fourth quarter has really made it much more difficult for her to get looks.
Let's check in with Holly.
Well, Pokey Chapman just addressed that in the huddle with Chicago. She said they've tried everybody on Elena. We have to not be in a rush and maintain our spacing so we can continue to get her good looks. She pointed out that they still have the middle of the floor open. They want Elena to stay involved here.
Maya Moore connects 25 for Moore. Another dish from McCarville. She has 5 assists off the bench. Yeah, there have been some quick pulls from Cappy Pondexter at times, rather than the patience of getting it to Deladon, as Quigley comes around the screen and buries the jumper.
But I don't think getting it to Deladon has just been very easy. Not only am Maya Moore all over her, but she's bodying her when she's away from the basketball, really making her work to move.
McCarville, no. Moore, yes.
It's another one of those horse shots. Now they've got an O.
I thought you were going to ask me to spell Maya again. 18 lead changes. Fouls the rebound. Minnesota by 1. Here comes the screen. Augustus lost it. 10th turnover of the half from Minnesota.
Really nice job by Chicago to get the hand in there on the dribble.
Deladon all alone. Too strong. Whalen pushing. Chicago is back. Whalen will veer back. Moore. She got it. A 3. Maya Moore with 30. And Minnesota leads by 4. Deladon and Moore, the last 2 MVPs in this league, not disappointing as Faulkner gets free for 2. Moore with 30, Deladon with 32, and now Faulkner with 18.7 assists off the bench.
In timely baskets. We've seen her get to the rim on many occasions where Chicago had been struggling to score.
Under 5 to go. Lynx by 2. Moore the give, fouls, dropped it, trying to pick it up. Augustus puts it home. Simone Augustus with her first points of the second half. 16 now for the game. 8 to shoot. Quigley being harassed. Parker finds Deladon, flips it up. And Deladon was fouled. She'll shoot a pair. Nice find from Cheyenne Parker late in the shot clock.
Not only a really nice find for Parker, but a great cut by Deladon, because if she hadn't cut through there, Parker had nothing going.
4th foul on Moore. Deladon will shoot her 8th and 9th free throws. Deladon hits the first. They were 2 of the biggest sporting events happening at the same time. The best way to view them both is on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. Stream every point from Wimbledon, every match from Euro 2016 on your favorite device. Only on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. I watched Italy-Germany on the ESPN app from San Diego the other day.
Sounds like a good life.
It was a great game. PKs down to the wire. Germany emerged triumphant. 2-point game here. Deladon now with 34 points to go with 9 rebounds. Augustus finds McCarville, her jumper, off. DeSouza, Young, Pondexter, Deladon, and Faulkner on the floor for Chicago. Deladon sees the corner. It's Faulkner. Off on the 3.
Good decision by Lindsay Whalen. Help in. You'd rather have Faulkner taking that shot than Deladon one-on-one.
Faulkner 0 of 3 from 3. Augustus nearly lost it. Gets it to fouls. She's stripped by Deladon. McCarville to Moore. A 3. Off. 3:30 to go. Elena Deladon with 34 points, the most Minnesota's surrendered to an individual this season. And stepping out of bounds was Pondexter as Chicago turns it over. Timeout, Minnesota. Cheryl Reeves still hot about something. Tight game all the way around. The Lynx with an 80-78 lead over Chicago. 3:19 to go here in this fourth quarter.
ESPN's coverage of the WNBA is brought to you by State Farm. We exist to assist.
Deladon, Maya Moore, both with 30-point games.
They've led their teams beautifully, and when their teams have needed big baskets, they've hit them. Now in the last 3:17 is going to be up to those two or their supporting cast.
80-78, Minnesota in front, 3:10 to go. Moore, nice fake, the leaner, banks off. Rebound, grab by Deladon, her 10th. Pondexter. Just 1 of 9 from the floor tonight. Shot clock down to 7. Pondexter has to create. Her jumper is way off. Good defense there from Maya Moore.
Cappy Pondexter, a player who likes to put the ball on the deck going left. Good job by Moore, forcing her right.
Pondexter 1 of 10. Under 2:30 to go. Augustus harassed by Pondexter. Into the teeth of the D. Good swing. Whalen couldn't handle. 3 to shoot. Whalen heaves it off the mark, and that's a shot clock violation. With 2:15 to go in this fourth quarter. Rebecca, how does Chicago make sure they get the ball into the arms of Elena Deladon? That's a question you're going to answer in a moment, because Pokey Chapman's going to tell her team right now. Two-point Lynx lead, 2:15 to go in the fourth quarter here in Minnesota. Ryan Rucco alongside Rebecca Lobo. Elena Deladon, the reigning MVP, 34 points tonight, but she's gotten just 4 field goal attempts in the second half. What does Chicago need to do to get her looks down the stretch?
Well, much of that is because Minnesota has had a different defender on her, whether that's Maya Moore or Rebecca Brunson. So you want to get her involved in some sort of screening action or on-ball action so you can try to force the defense to switch to get a more favorable defender on her that she can have a better mismatch.
And there are those numbers. See the stark difference in the attempts and also, as a result, the points. Here's a touch for Deladon. She's doubled. DeSouza trying to get help. 7 seconds left on the shot clock. Young misfires out of bounds off of Chicago.
And as much as we've talked about what Maya Moore has done on the offensive end this game, her job in the second half defensively against Elena Deladon has been stellar. She's got the quickness on the perimeter. She's got the strength to hold her position defensively inside.
Give and go, Whalen and McCarville. They did it at Minnesota. In college, they do it here with the Lynx. 4-point game. Young will be given space. They'll dare her to shoot that. She does. Can't hit. Deladon hooked underneath. That is the 4th team foul against Minnesota. So it'll be a side out for Chicago.
Watch Maya Moore defensively. She is not even looking at the basketball. All eyes on Elena Deladon fighting through the screen, and then when she gets there, hands up, knows she has some foul trouble, makes Deladon retreat. That's what you want to do when you're playing post defense, is make the player retreat away from the basket.
Now that was the 5th foul on Maya Moore on that loose ball. Deladon going right at her, banks it in. Wise move from Elena Deladon.
Now the equation's changed a little bit. With Maya Moore in foul trouble, you can look to go right at her. She can't play that same kind of defense if she wants to stay in the game.
36-10 for Elena Deladon. Moore, guarded by Young, fouled by Young. 4th team foul against Chicago.
Elena Deladon continuing in attack mode. Maya Moore hands off. See, at the end, she had to pull her hands right back. She can't be as aggressive defensively with the foul trouble she's in.
Janelle McCarville checks out for Minnesota. Rebecca Brunson in.
That's because now the switch is going to happen. Brunson will be on Elena Deladon the other end.
Whalen, 8 to shoot. Crossover into the paint, fading away. Off the mark, scooped up, 2 to shoot, Moore. You bet! beats the buzzer and gives Minnesota a 5-point cushion. Well, Maya Moore connecting on that three. And this crowd being sent into a frenzy. A crowd that braved the elements. Tornado warnings in Minneapolis tonight. They like seeing that drop.
So many players with the shot clock running down like that would hurry. She was not going to be sped up at all. Maya Moore, plenty of time. She knows. We saw that in, what was it, game 4, game 3 of the finals last year, hitting that game winner. She has a beautiful internal clock of knowing how much time she needs to get off a shot.
And she's put up 13 in the quarter, 33 points on 12 of 18 shooting. She's done it on the defensive and offensive end, and she has single-handedly outscored Chicago here in this fourth quarter. Maya 13, Sky 12. So now the ball back to Chicago. What do they look to do in response?
You're going to look to get Elena Delle Donne a touch in the post if you are Chicago, but just as we expected, Rebecca Brunson on her now because of Maya Moore's foul trouble, and they're not losing anything. Minnesota is defensively. Brunson, one of the best post defenders in the league.
Next foul will send Chicago to the line. Into the arms of Delle Donne. Guarded by Brunson, 50 seconds to go. Delle Donne switched on fouls. Likes this matchup. Delle Donne gets fouled by Sylvia Fowles. Looked like she might have just tripped, and Cheryl Reeve is going to lose the jacket in a moment.
It was the play they wanted. They got the big screen so that Fowles had to switch. Now, to me, I don't think it was a foul. Sylvia Fowles, if you're in legal guarding position and the offensive player trips, that's not a foul on you.
And Minnesota has been on the wrong end of a few questionable whistles down the stretch. Delle Donne hits.
Did you see some contact I didn't see?
No.
I thought Sylvia Fowles absolutely had legal guarding position, and that's important to understand. If you're in legal guarding position and the player trips over you, that's not your foul.
Delle Donne, now 10 of 10 from the line over her target from Pokey Chapman of 8 free throw attempts. And it's a one-possession game again as Cheryl Reeve is still irate and letting Eric Bruton know. 20-second timeout. Elena Delle Donne now with 38 in the game, tying a season high for any player in the W this season. Maya Moore with 33, 13 of them in the fourth. And each star has responded down the stretch of this game.
And you would expect coming the other way that Cheryl Reeve will get the basketball in Maya Moore's hand. She tends to be the inbounder on a side out of bounds play, but will run off screens, either post inside or flare out to the weak side.
43.7 seconds remaining. So if you're Chicago, obviously you're playing defense without fouling here. With the Sky and the Lynx over the limit. Minnesota won their first 13 games this season, has lost 3 of 4. Still owners of the second best record in the W, trailing only the LA Sparks. Chicago at 7-9, right now sitting on the fringe of the playoff picture.
Maya Moore taking the ball out. You would look for Minnesota to get the ball back in her hands, but Fowles also always a great option on the block.
Into the arms of Whalen. Whalen with 11 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. Faulkner on Whalen, 10 to shoot. Moore racing around. Whalen finds Augustus, she lost it. Faulkner on the steal, De Souza was there to help. Faulkner gonna go right at the hoop, but Pokey Chapman took a timeout, and Jamira Faulkner and Tamara Young had a 2-on-1, and it looked like Chapman knew it afterwards that she probably should have let her player go.
Oh, I love that Faulkner was going right at the basket, because obviously with this amount of time, you don't need to settle for a 3. She could have quickly gotten in there and gotten the easy 2.
Minnesota almost looked like they were anticipating a timeout. Faulkner tried to take advantage with her speed, but Pokey Chapman took a timeout instead. You know, when you look at the playoff picture in the WNBA right now, remember, conferences don't matter anymore. It's the top 8 records that will make the playoffs. So Chicago is no longer competing just with Eastern Conference teams. They are also competing with Western Conference teams. Every game matters so much, Rebecca, and this one, certainly one Chicago would love to steal.
And winning each series becomes even more important. Minnesota already having beaten Chicago once. Chicago looking to tie this series up until they meet for the 3rd time.
And if you're Minnesota, fighting for one of those top 2 seeds and a bye to the semifinals, every win matters. 3-point game. 17 seconds to go. Deladon trying to get free. Brunson jumps the route. Strength from Brunson. The fast break. She lays it in. Maybe got away with steps. Instead, it's a 5-point game. Faulkner quickly down the other end, all the way to the rim, flips it up and off. Brunson the board, and that'll do it. The Minnesota Lynx outlast Chicago in a terrific contest here at Target Center. 87-82 the final, and Rebecca Brunson so often the glue of this championship squad with a title-worthy play to end this victory.
Minnesota, for so much of this season, their identity is getting things done on the defensive end. Look at Rebecca Brunson, fights through the big screen. Chicago looking to get a switch on Deladon. Brunson says, and finishes the other way. I mean, this is just toughness personified. The veteran known for her defense gets it done on both ends of the floor.
You talked about the importance of putting Brunson into the game once Maya Moore was in foul trouble, her being the one to guard Elena Deladon, and we saw it bear fruit right there on the most crucial possession of the game.
That's what Rebecca Brunson does and has done throughout the course of her career, is play great defense and makes the biggest play of the game.
Maya Moore with 33 points, 6 rebounds, and an interview with Holly Rowe.
Well, Maya, the Chicago Sky have the ball and plenty of time to score. So what was the focus on that last possession?
We just wanted to make it as hard as possible for some of their top guns to catch it, and Rebecca Brunson did that. It was just an amazing team effort. She's been doing that for us since I've been here, so I'm just so proud of the way she stepped up and closed the game for us.
Obviously, it's a team game, but what if mano a mano, you and Elena Deladon, 38 points for her. How hard was it guarding her in that second half?
She's tough. She's a great player. You know, someone who has a knack for getting to the free throw line. We gave her 14 free throws in the first quarter, and that really set us back, but we adjusted, and really fun to play against a competitive team.
33 points from you. The three-pointer was kind to you today. What was your focus?
I was just playing, you know, just trusting my teammates, trying to bring energy. Our crowd was awesome. Just thankful the shots went in.
After a 3-game losing streak, now to be back 2-game win streak, what's this like?
It's good. You know, it feels good to win, but it feels better to play the way we know we can play. And this was truly a team win. Different people stepping up at different times. It'll be really fun to go back and celebrate some of these things that we did tonight.
Thanks, Maya.
All right, thanks, Holly.
Maya Moore, a big performance, 33 points, 6 rebounds. Huge buckets down the stretch, and she gives Minnesota their 15th win of the season. Minnesota right now, the 2 seed overall in the WNBA playoff picture, and the Chicago Sky fall to 7-10 on the season as they continue to battle for a playoff spot in this advanced system. Our final score, Minnesota 87, Chicago 82. Coming up next, it's City Slam for Rebecca Lobo. And Holly Rowe and our entire crew, I'm Ryan Rucco. Good night from Minneapolis.